So thank you for joining us for this Zoom meeting. We would have liked to have met you in person, of course, and been able to shake your hands and get acquainted with you and eat some finger foods with you, but that is not happening in this current situation. So we are trying to improvise and do as best we can with the situation that we have. So just to tell you a little bit about myself, so I'm a conservative Republican. I'm running for Jefferson County Prosecuting Attorney. I'm currently working at the law firm of Rigby Anderson Rigby in Rexburg, and I reside in Rigby. I studied law and economics at the Antonin Scalia Law School in Alexandria, Virginia, and from there I was hired directly by the federal government to prosecute civil antitrust cases, and that's what I did for 11 years. I would investigate, and then if there was enough evidence, I would advocate for the prosecution of usually very large corporations who were distorting the free market economy and distorting the marketplace. After 11 years of that, I moved my family to Jefferson County because we were looking for a rural environment where we could raise our kids with more conservative values than you typically find in a large metropolitan area like DC. And I really value those conservative values that are strong here, you know, and we moved here to be among like-minded people. I attended BYU on a leadership scholarship. I taught at the MTC to put myself through school, and I was even a seminary teacher at Rigby High for the first year that I lived here. And I'm married to a beautiful French woman, Elodie, who is also the operator on this call. So that's my background. But I'll tell you a little bit about why I'm running for office. I was approached about a year ago by some people working in county government who asked me to run for prosecuting attorney. And I had to think twice about it because I was just getting settled in the law firm where I work, Rigby Anderson Rigby in Rexburg. And so I didn't really feel a need to change or do things differently. However, when they explained to me the needs that Jefferson County has that aren't being met by the current prosecutor, I saw that my experience could make a difference in our community, and I decided to go ahead and take the challenge. And so for the last little while, I've been kind of conducting my own private investigation into our current prosecutor because I didn't feel the need to run if we had a good, successful, competent, capable prosecutor. There was no need for me to run against them and disrupt my life if somebody was doing the job well. And what I found was there's a lot of discontent with our current prosecutor out there. A lot of people are very disappointed in what they got for their vote. And there's a lot of issues about the way he runs the office. So I did see a need to change. I do want to keep the campaign positive. I don't want to criticize him unnecessarily, but I do need to point out every now and then some facts that are disturbing about the current office and how it's set up. In the course of talking with the people that I spoke with, I've identified 3 needs that Jefferson County has. And the first need is to protect our conservative values rooted in self-reliance and our personal liberties. Like a lot of people in Jefferson County, I'm an advocate for the unborn, for the right to bear arms, for religious freedom, for freedom in education, and the traditional family. And many people are moving to Jefferson County because they are conservatives and because they want to be surrounded by like-minded individuals. However, with that growth comes the challenge of preserving our way of life that attracted the people to move here in the first place. For example, people might be attracted to our low taxes, but not realize that with that means fewer government services and a need for greater self-reliance. People love being close to their favorite outdoor activities, and they might like the rural environment, but with that growth comes pressure on those things. And so we have to be careful about population density and issues like that. People feel safe here, but with the larger population comes the risk for greater anonymity and greater crime rates. And so none of these are inevitable problems and none of them are insurmountable, but they are going to take proactive, hard work and some forward thinking to preserve those things and to anticipate the growth and accommodate it in a way that still preserves the lifestyle that attracted people here in the first place. That has a lot to do with planning and zoning and issues like that. The second need that I noticed was a need to promote a more efficient, more transparent, more accountable prosecuting attorney's office, the way that we use our county attorneys and taxpayer dollars. What I mean by that is, as I visited with people and listened to their concerns, with the growth of our county, there's a huge need for civil law advice in the county departments and with the county commissioners. Unlike criminal law, civil law is about how the county conducts its business. It's about its contracts. It's about its county ordinances like nuisance ordinances and taxation and things of that nature. And so every prosecuting attorney in Idaho either does the civil law side and hires deputies to do the criminal law side, or vice versa. Unfortunately, the current prosecuting attorney's office just hired its third full-time criminal attorney, but only has one part-time civil deputy to handle all of the county's departments and to advise the commissioners. To fill that civil law void that currently exists, the current prosecuting attorney's office has taken one of its best criminal prosecutors and has assigned him to advise planning and zoning on civil issues. And that's not his expertise, and it's taking him away from what he does best, and from criminal prosecution. And so one of the needs I see, and one of the solutions I propose, is that I would be, because my background is in civil law, I would be a full-time civil advisor to the county. I would be advising the commissioners as well as all of the departments. It would be a full-time. And then I would keep the two criminal deputies that we have, and they would put the criminal guy back into prosecuting crime, which is what his expertise is. Between those two deputies and myself, we would be able to handle the caseload. The current office has had a lot of criticism because they recently asked for a fourth attorney and received that, when very few people feel that the caseload justifies it. And so I would be able to eliminate the part-time civil guy that's there, putting back into the county's budget $67,000 that is his salary. Incidentally, there's been public records request for his caseload, because people have said, well, we're not sure that your caseload justifies that extra attorney that you're asking for. And those public records requests have been denied. And so nobody in the public has ever seen the caseload that the current prosecuting attorney's office carries, and whether he actually is as busy as he claims he is and needs to have a fourth attorney. Most people I've spoken with feel that the caseload is, that it's not necessary, that fewer attorneys can handle what's there. The third need that I identified as I spoke with people was to work hand in hand with law enforcement to protect our community and deliver justice for all of the residents of Jefferson County. And my understanding is, in your neighborhood in particular, you guys are sensitive to this issue, how maybe not feeling that justice was served in your case with the Challenger pallet complaints and incidences. So that's a common theme I've heard. That he prosecutes the easy cases, but on the felony cases, a lot of times he only charges them as misdemeanors, or doesn't charge them at all. And that's a disturbing pattern that a lot of people have complained about. Some people say he's lazy and just doesn't want to do the work. Other people are more charitable and say that he's just a defense attorney because that's his background, and so he's always seeing how to defend the criminals rather than how to prosecute them. And so my background is in prosecuting civil cases, and as the county's prosecuting attorney, I would work hand in hand with the local law enforcement to ensure that the prosecuting attorney's office prosecutes more of their felony cases. I feel that it's the judge's job to decide that whether or not we have enough evidence, whether the facts are there, and so forth. The prosecutor's job is to prosecute the cases and to bring it in front of the judge, and that's not what's happening right now. And so with that as a introductory, I guess, presentation, I'm open to receiving questions that you guys have for me and hear your concerns.
I think it's important for people to know that you're not a new kid on the block. You know your stuff, and I frankly find that refreshing to know that you're willing to especially advise our county commissioners and their and the staff of the county in a way that protects the county from litigation and that kind of thing, but also it also works for the members of the community. And so I look forward to seeing you in action, you know.
Thank you.
A couple of things that I wanted to maybe mention, because these are things that I've been hearing over the last 4+ years regarding things, people's experiences with the prosecuting attorney's office. Individuals who have asked for information about what the office was doing, in other words, under the Freedom of Information Act, have been stalled, and their complaints to us have been that either the information, they were just told flat out, you can't have that information, looking into Freedom of Information requests for open meeting law violations. It seems to me that a prosecuting attorney really needs to be open, you know, as far as the community are trying to be interested in the budgets and which offices are getting additional funds. Certainly we want to know what their caseloads are. In our particular instance here, I've had numerous people say to me, you know, we make a complaint. We've even had the sheriff's department come out. We've signed legal complaints, yet no one from the prosecuting attorney's office even has called or made any contact whatsoever with some of those complainants. I can't say that that's every case that happens because I'm not aware of them, but certainly some that these individuals have been involved in. I know that one gentleman filed at least 4 complaints that he signed. So those are concerns, that openness that we don't currently have in that office right now. We desperately need. It shouldn't be an adversarial position between that office and the general public.
The things that you've shared, you're not the first person to share those concerns with me. I do hear from others and have experienced myself that there is a lack of transparency, that public records that should be shared with the public are being denied. And you know, we could appeal it and we could go through the legal process, and you know, that might be the way we have to go in the future. But I'm hoping just to come into office myself and be much more transparent.
There's very influential a handful of very influential people in this county that have their hands and some purse strings on a lot of officials, and I don't know how you're going to navigate that, but it's a real concern for all of us. My wife and I certainly support you, Mark, to be to help break that. And that's really, you have a great background. I think you'll make a great freedom symbol in our, you know, well, you'll be open and you'll be able to give us some guidance and give the county government some guidance that they truly need.
One of the aspects of being the new guy in town, as it were, is that I'm not tapped into the old boys, you know, good old boys network. I don't know who's who, and I don't know who pulls strings, and I don't have any strings attached to me, and I don't owe anybody any favors. So
that's kind of what we feel too, is you don't owe anybody any favors here, and you've got a good background, great experience, and so whatever we can do to get you launched into this particular position will be of utmost importance to us. So
I appreciate that.
Do you have something that we can take and use to help get your name out there and get out what you stand for?
So there's a couple of things to answer your questions. All of the Facebook sharing that you can do is very valuable to us. Talking to your friends. We're going to need to do phone calls because people can't meet and greet and do the usual social interactions. And so people are going to need to open up their contacts on their phones and start calling people and say, hey, have you heard about this guy? One of the things that you can do, and this is just to be blunt, is donate to the campaign, because I need to buy a lot of signs. And so donations would be really helpful, and encouraging people to donate to the campaign would be appreciated.
Okay.